Well, hi, Kim. How
Hey,
are you?
Rose, how are you doing?
Welcome to another episode of Casting Notes from Rose and Kim. How have you been?
Everybody, I'm great. How are you?
Good, everybody. This is Kim Swanson. She's a casting director from Los Angeles, and I'm Rose Rosen here in Florida.
My dear friend and wonderful casting director extraordinaire.
Stop. But so fun to see you. It's been a minute. I think we've had holidays and this and that. How's everything?
Everything's been busy. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
isn't that
know
good?
why it's been so busy. I'm wondering how I managed to do like 12-week shows and get anything done
I
when
know.
I'm just doing little, I shouldn't say little, but commercials that are 2 days here, 4 days here, 5 days, like, and I'm just like running in 20 directions.
And
So,
that's what people don't understand about being a freelancer is that we fit little things into the big things so
yes,
that we make all the money whenever we can. And
right. Got to make hay while the sun shines.
we have to. And so our friends think, well, why are you so busy? It's like I'm only busy here and then I'm not busy here.
Then I
And
have
get used to
nothing
it.
for 2 months. Like,
Right.
it truly is feast or famine. Doesn't it feel weird like after you've had a big project and then you open up your email and like there's nothing new? You're like, is there an apocalypse? Or because,
Right.
right, because you're used to having hundreds of emails in a day
It's
and then
crazy.
suddenly nothing.
It feels like nobody likes you. It's
Right.
the craziest thing, or like you'll never get hired again. I mean, we've both been around a couple of years and and somehow we made it. But every single time it feels like I'll never get another call. It's nuts.
No,
It's
I
nuts.
know. I do too. I feel the same way. But
Speaking of which, we have a great guest. I can't even say guest. And I think she can speak to being a freelancer also.
I think
And it's
so.
Alex Ferrara. I wonder if she'll come out here shortly.
There
Oh
she
my
is.
God.
Hey, Alex.
Hello, thanks for
So,
having me.
yeah, no, so
Welcome.
nice to see you.
Nice to
Alex
meet
is a New York actor, model, producer, singer, podcaster. I mean, everything. And she does it all in a New York apartment. So it's impressive. And I thought everybody would be so interested in how she gets all that done. So tell us.
Well, first of all, it was very impressive. I think you hit everything on the list there. There's a lot of things I've dabbled in, so that was very impressive.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi. So yes, I grew up in St. Louis. I thought that musical theater was the thing that I wanted to do. I had no other focus. I thought that's what I wanted to do. So I went to school in Hartford, Connecticut at the Hart School of Music in first college. And then I moved right to New York and I was really focused on theater. And then I started slowly kind of moving away and moving into more commercial print work. And then from there, from being on sets, I started just learning a lot and working a bit as a makeup artist and as a producer. And now I also have a podcast. It's called Obsessed with the Best with Alex and Tina.
Oh, we'll
And
drop a link.
yeah, yeah. And I've gone through a lot of phases, and depending on the year, certain interests have come to the forefront, or there's been more work in a certain area. And it's really been about making sure I'm staying creative and also going where the work is, which is crazy. It's a lot to juggle, but it has been interesting, never a dull moment, that's for sure.
Right. So, like, what did you do when the pandemic hit? It was so terrible at the beginning. I remember talking with you about that.
Yeah, it was crazy because I felt like right before the pandemic, there were so many opportunities. I felt like I was getting a lot of traction. I was hitting these big kind of goals that I had had. As a model, I had worked for Zach Posen as a fit model. I had done a fashion segment on the Today Show. As an actor, as a performer, right before the pandemic, I had performed at Lincoln Center, which was a huge accomplishment and just a wonderful experience. As a producer, I produced kind of larger scale events. I produced a photography exhibit downtown in Tribeca to benefit the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund, which was another great accomplishment. It felt like I was slowly kind of building these building blocks that I have been laying the groundwork for years. And then the pandemic hit and just kind of, whoosh, it felt like a big wave, just like knocked it all down at first. And it was intense. It was very intense to be in New York City then, because New York got hit so hard and so fast. And at the beginning it was, you know, we knew so little. So it was like, don't even go outside, don't open the window. And we lost our health insurance and all of our jobs and everything. And so the past few months have been slowly trying to put the pieces back together. So in that, I have actually come to the point where I am very grateful that I never really boxed myself in and focused on only one thing. That through the past few years, I've been accumulating all of these little skills just because I'm curious and I'm fascinated. So right before the pandemic, also, I started a YouTube channel, you know, much like you guys did, for fun, because you're interested. But in that, I'm, you know, learning iMovie, I'm learning about sound, I'm getting better lighting, all these things that have really helped me. And then I kind of naturally, organically fell into having a podcast the past few months as well. So it's definitely been a journey. But I will say it started off feeling very just terrible and like I'd lost everything. And now I've kind of swung back around and I've really stuck with it. And I'm back in New York and I feel like there are opportunities again. So I feel like it's a more positive place now.
No, that's cool. And I want to hit on goals, but you go ahead and say what, Kim?
I was to say, tell us what your podcast is about. Tell us about that, what that's called and what that's about.
So, you know, as I said, having all these different interests, I met a friend, her name's Tina, and we always used to joke that we were career twins because she was also makeup artist, producer in different ways. You know, she focuses more on the makeup and I focus more on the in front of the camera work, but she kind of has the same approach of just a lot of different skills, a lot of different interests. And we would always talk and we'd say, you know, what are you using on set? What did you find? What works? What are you reading? What are you watching? And then we started, yeah, she was kind of my touchstone in this business because we were so much alike. Exactly. So we started having these conversations on Instagram once a week and just sharing what we love, what helps us optimize our lives, both on set and at home, and just kind of what we run into. Because, you know, because of our ever-changing jobs, you know, a makeup artist will use something new on us. We'll meet someone else who has a new idea or a new book recommendation. And we would share these things every week. And then a production company that produces podcasts actually saw one of our episodes and thought that it would be a good podcast. And we never really set out to make a podcast, but I think that it works because it came from something very real. It came from a real organic conversation that we were just having fun having, you know, and now it's a podcast. We're starting season 2, and we love it. We absolutely love it.
Right. We're going to have seasons 2.
Yeah.
We're in discussions about that.
I'm all for it. You totally should.
Tell us what I wanted to know and what I want you to give forth to people that are in our field and trying to get ahead and trying to change and pivot and do things is talk about how you goal set and how you get from here to here to here, and how do you make these decisions and act on them?
Well, I think it comes from, well, let me take it back. So I think when I was just focused on theater, I was not very happy because I was auditioning for theater and working a, you know, side job is what we call it, you know, waiting tables, bartending, nanny. I mean, you name it, I did it. And just the waiting for a job. And I realized that I didn't like that I always need to be part of doing something creative and making something, whether that's in front of the camera, on the stage, or behind the scenes, that makes me so happy. So I, in exploring those other skills, it really filled my life up. And I would also recommend that any actor work on a set or behind the scenes, because it really makes you not take things as personally. I used to think everything was my fault. Like if something went wrong in a rehearsal or on a set, I'd be like, oh my God, it's me. Like immediate anxiety, like I'm ruining everything, when really it's like not that much about you, like you're like one little piece in a whole thing.
That's fascinating. That
Yeah,
is huge.
it really helped me just not take things as personally. And in terms of goal setting, I go where I am curious, like I was really curious about, okay, what does it mean to, have a YouTube channel, edit my own videos, all those things. And so I kind of jumped in there. And then, with acting and with lifestyle modeling, that's a process, because it's so out of your control that you set the goals, but you have no idea how it's gonna go or how it's gonna get there, besides just putting one foot in front of the other and just putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Modeling is a little control.
Known before you went to New York, what do you wish you had known that you now know?
Oh my gosh, literally anything at all about the business side of this. I mean, I went to theater school and I learned everything you could know about, singing, dancing, like the art of theater, accents. I went to Italy, I studied mask work. I mean, Shakespeare, these wonderful, beautiful things. But did I know how to contact an agent and go into that first meeting? Did I think of myself as a brand? Did I know anything about technology? Really? I mean, sure, I grew up with it, but did I really know? I did not know anything, not a thing about the business side, not a thing. And that was all on the fly. I also had never had an on-camera class. I mean, before I booked my first commercial, I hadn't had an on-camera class. So that's something I learned on the fly. And then after I started booking commercials, I started taking on-camera classes. And that's now, where I want to focus my time. But you don't get that.
Send you through a whole fancy theater school and never give you an on-camera class.
That's really common, though. Very few theater programs or even film programs ever put their actors on camera or teach them how to be on camera. Like they might run a camera or whatever, but there's no one actually teaching them the difference of acting for camera versus acting for stage, which we kind of had that conversation a while back, Rose. But yeah, that's really common.
I didn't quite get it, I think.
It's up to you. It's totally another thing. So not only are you trying to survive in New York City on, little to no money, it's like, oh, wow, I have to find a way to train myself to how to do this whole other thing, so it's better late than never, but I really wish I would have had some of that training before I got here.
So interesting. It's
right.
And let alone how to make an invoice, how to, all.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
Yes. Or anything about taxes. I mean, I remember the first time I got paid all year in 1099s and I didn't make that much money, but I had no idea what was coming for me when I was doing my taxes. It was thousands of dollars and I had a nervous breakdown. I didn't have that.
Right.
All of these little things that just, you wish that it just, I think that every theater department needs to have a more well-rounded education. Yeah.
Well, I think all schools in general should help you out to learn about life more than just Shakespeare. But not that there's anything wrong with Shakespeare, but
right.
Got to make a living.
But not very often do you need to pull that out of your back pocket. But taxes, you're going to do every year, right?
Right. Yeah. It's amazing. No, that's fascinating. And what are you looking forward to next? What's your next big goal?
What am I looking forward to next? Definitely just now that things are opening back up, just more. I mean, I've had a sprinkling of commercial and print work during this pandemic, which has been incredibly lucky. And just more of it. Like that's my goal. I want to keep working in print. I love print. I mean, I want to keep doing that till I'm, in my 40s and like, a mom and a print dad. Like I love it. More commercial work. I love commercial work. And then I would love to get my foot in the door for some TV work, which I just was right before COVID, but I would love for that to continue when things open up for sure.
No, that's great. That's great. It was so great having you. Thank you for coming. I hope you come back and listen, happy new year. Here we are in January, so let's make the most of it.
Right. Let's just keep being positive about 2021.
We're getting there. We're getting there inch by inch. Right.
Kim, good to see you. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
All right.